Hey guys, good morning. So while I was out of town, my Diamine fountain pen inks arrived from Massdrop. I participated in that drop less than 3 weeks ago, so I'm super pleased that they have already gotten it and sent it out. This is not a plug for Massdrop. They are not a sponsor of this channel, but if you enjoy fountain pens and fountain pen accessories, if you enjoy inks and pens, you might want to check out their fountain pen section on Massdrop. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this and do a little swatching, both with a dip pen to simulate the sort of effect you might get with a fountain pen, because I don't feel like inking one up, and with a brush. So we have here the Flowers set, and it includes Marigold, Carnation, Pansy, Bougainvillea, Cornflower, Aster, Burgundy Rose, Tulip, Iris, and Gerbera. And fountain pen inks are water-based inks and can probably, we will find out with a field test a little later on, can probably be used as watercolors or as an option for watercolors. So if you're interested in fountain pens and you're also interested in liquid watercolors, fountain pen inks might be a great juxtaposition of the two worlds. So we're going to go ahead and get swatching. I'm going to swatch these on some Fabriano Artistico Studio paper. So I will go ahead and get that set up and I'll get back to you guys in a jiff. All right, so we're going to begin our swatching with a Nib Test. Got a cup of clean water. And if you find this difficult to see or would like another angle, you can check out my blog at nattosoup.blogspot.com. All right, so Marigold is a very translucent color. Dip our nib in. And I am using a G-nib by Tachikawa. Okay. As well as a size 4 Creative Mark Rhapsody Kolinsky Sable brush, which has just been cleaned. And I'm blending it out with water so we can get an idea for the range. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for all of the 10 flower colors in my Diamine Flowers set. And I will do that in time lapse, but zoomed in a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit at the end. So I'm halting the time lapse here to say I think these inks are actually scented. I mean, definitely Bougainvillea has a very perfumey smell to it. Now, the listing on Massdrop didn't say they were scented, and I know there are companies that do make scented fountain pen inks. I'm going to double check this. You guys can check the blog post for that information. But there's definitely a very floral, perfumey scent coming from Bougainvillea. I don't find it unpleasant, but at least yet, I'm actually extremely sensitive to perfumes. So if you're like me and you didn't purchase these because they were perfumed, you purchased them because of the colors, the scent may or may not be an off-putting factor for you. And if you work very close to your work, it may be too much for you, especially if you're painting. I just thought that was worth mentioning before I forget, because I know that doesn't seem like it would be a thing you'd forget, but sometimes I forget to mention it to you guys. So I will resume the time lapse and we will check in again later, unless something else comes up. These are mostly dry. I do think that there is a little bit of shading to the flower collection. The only way I would really be able to tell that is to ink up some fountain pens and test with that. I did ask for some jet pinch chibis for Christmas, so if I get those, I can come back to this and do that sort of test. Otherwise, it's really just not worth my time to ink up a pen 10 times and clean a pen 10 times. So you're just gonna have to be patient with me if that's something that's make or break for you. The dip pin, just the way I handle them and how much flex is in a G-nib, you know, it does give the indication of shading. Let me go ahead and get in really close for you guys. Like with Aster, Burgundy Rose, Tulip for sure, Cornflower, Carnation definitely has some, Marigold has a little, and Gerbera. Oh, I'm off camera for y'all. And Gerbera, they all have some shading to them, but I can't tell if it's because when you flex a G-nib, it just puts down a massive amount of ink. I don't know if you would get that same shading with a fountain pen. I also did a wash test to show how it reacts when you add water. So on the left is the undiluted brush. On the right is where I added water. Not always clean, as in the case of Gerbera. So it did, there was enough purple in the water from the prior tests that it did mute the color a bit. So don't hold that against Gerbera. That was my error. And like I mentioned earlier, there is a slight perfume. It seems to be all the same fragrance. Some of you guys might enjoy that. Some of you might feel it adds something to your work. It makes me a little bit concerned though about archival quality, and I don't like strong smells, or I'm really picky really about strong smells, and synthetic smells give me a migraine. So for me, that perfume we're gonna have to see. So some of these colors in the flower set are just gorgeous. Marigold is very nice. Pansy is a very, very nice purple, especially when you think about watercolors and liquid watercolors. Bougainvillea, Cornflower, Aster, Iris, gorgeous, gorgeous colors. Burgundy Rose, Tulip, also very nice. The only color I'm not excited about is Carnation. It's sort of a weird color. It's not even the color of carnations. It's like a brownish pink. I can't necessarily see myself using it a whole lot, and when you water it down, it gets like a highlighter sort of quality. So as a watercolorist who might be using these in lieu of purchasing a set of watercolors, Carnation is the only one I'm not really fond of. And I know you guys know that I do have liquid watercolors in the studio, and I am working on some posts for that for the watercolor basics, but I thought some of you might not want to own both. You might want to own something that can handle fountain pen use, dip pen use, and watercolor use, which was why I decided to do this review. So we're gonna go ahead now and take a spritzer of water, And I'm going to get a picture of this for posterity. We're going to get a spritzer of water, and we're just going to, because these are not waterproof, so we're going to test reactivation. And I might actually need to stop and go fill up my spritzer. Right. So I am spritzing both my lines, and where I applied it with a brush, and where it's already been diluted, it doesn't really seem to run much. We've got more of a problem with things running into the diluted areas, whereas where it's been very thickly applied, like with the dip nib, you're getting a lot more color movement. So once you've added water, it seems, and the only way we're going to know this for sure is through a field test where I actually paint something, but it seems like once you add your water, it's pretty much going to stay where it is. But until you add your water, it's going to be very prone to moving and blending and reactivation. So for watercolorists, that is extremely important to use. For those of you who do sort of like illuminated lettering, you might want to use this technique to just sort of change up your lettering. It could be something very interesting. You might have to play around with that. But all in all, these performed quite well. My only qualm was the scent, to be honest. Maybe I just didn't do enough due diligence, or maybe I just forgot. But so far I like how they handle. Now, this is not a testament to whether or not they are light fast. They are water-based inks, and water-based inks tend to be dye-based, and dye-based art products tend to be very light fugitive, very much not archival. So just keep this in mind. If you're using these to create illustrations for reproduction, if you're going to scan it, that sort of thing, you should be fine. But if you want something that you can put up, or something for a commission, or something that's going to last the test of time, these might not be the way to go. That said, other liquid watercolors are also dye-based, and Brusho is dye-based. So I mean, you know, these are not going to necessarily perform any worse than those. Now, I would need to do side-by-side testing to you know, decide whether or not that's light fast, whether or not they are as light fast as other liquid watercolors on the market. If that is something that you guys would be interested in seeing, or if you would like to see me try using actual concentrated liquid watercolors in fountain pens, you can head on over to my Patreon and join the community. And by contributing your support, that enables me to go out and purchase those things and make the time and make the space for those things. And just let me know in a comment on the Patreon that that is what you are interested in, that is where you want your money to go. So I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully I can revisit it again in a couple of months if I get those inexpensive fountain pens, and we can test these inks in a fountain pen. We can ink all of them up, hopefully, and you know, go to town on them. And also, I hope to check in with you guys with a field test at some point in the future, so we can see how these handle as watercolors and not just as fountain pen inks. Do keep in mind, though, that they are sold as fountain pen inks, and so if they do not perform well as watercolors, that is not a problem with the product. That is just a situation that they were just not designed to be used for. So I'm Becky Hilburn. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, let me know again in the comments below. If you ever have a problem with anything that I produce, please address me directly. I am always interested in making better content, making content that suits what you guys are interested in. I want to form a community, and a community requires dialogue. So, you know, please feel comfortable talking to me when you have problems with things that I do. If you enjoyed this, make sure you head on over to the blog for the full review. That's at nattosoup.blogspot.com. If you'd like to help support more content like this, there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can share this video with your friends and family on your social networks, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. All of those are a great place to share something like this. You never know who might be interested. It would help me out a lot because it helps me build my audience, and that is a big goal for 2017, is I want to be large enough for companies to take notice. And another way that you can help me out is by heading on over to my Patreon at patreon.com/nattosoup and joining the community. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it's a pleasure to hang out with you guys. I hope to see you again really soon. Bye, art nerds.